The cabin in the cold wind howled through the mountains like a wild animal. Snow fell hard, covering the trees and rocks in a thick, white blanket. Jack pulled his coat tighter and stepped over a fallen log. His boots crunched in the snow. He had not been to the cabin in over 6 months. Life in the city had kept him busy. Work, noise, traffic, it was all too much. He needed quiet, peace. So here he was, deep in the mountains, miles away from any other person. The cabin sat between tall pine trees, smoke black from old fires. Jack smiled when he saw it. Same as always. A little crooked, a little lonely, but it was home. He stepped onto the porch and pulled out the key from his pocket. The lock turned easily. He opened the door. A rush of cold air hit him in the face. It smelled of wood, dust, and something else. Something strange. Jack froze. The door creaked as it swung open fully. He stepped inside. The air felt wrong, like someone had been here recently. But that was impossible. No one knew about this place. He walked slowly across the room. The fireplace was clean. The table had 2 chairs, one was pulled out. His eyes narrowed. He always pushed the chairs in before leaving. Always. He moved to the kitchen. Nothing. The shelves were untouched. A mug sat in the sink. That wasn't his mug. Jack's heartbeat picked up. He moved to the stairs. 1 step, then another. The wooden steps creaked loudly. He reached the top. A sound. A soft sound, like breathing. His hand moved to his belt where he kept a small knife. Slowly, he turned toward the bedroom door. It was half open. He pushed it. Inside, the room was dark, cold, then movement. A shadow jumped from the corner. Jack stumbled back, raising his hands. A woman stood before him. Her skin was pale, almost silver in the dim light. Her eyes glowed faintly blue. She held a sharp object in her hand. It shimmered like light, but solid, like a glowing blade. "Stop," Jack said, backing up. The woman looked scared, terrified. She pointed the weapon at him with shaking hands. Her hair was messy, her clothes strange like silver cloth and wires. She looked human, but clearly, she was not. She didn't speak at first. She just stared at him, breathing hard. Her lips trembled. Jack raised his hands higher. "I'm not here to hurt you." The woman blinked. Slowly, she lowered the blade. "Only slightly." "You, not with them?" she said in a weak, strange voice. Jack frowned. "With who?" Her eyes filled with tears. She stepped back and hit the wall behind her. "Don't lie. You're human." "I know what humans do." Jack paused. "Okay," he said quietly. "I am human, but I'm not here to hurt anyone." The woman's legs gave out and she sank to the floor. The blade in her hand vanished, just blinked out like smoke. Jack stepped forward. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" She didn't answer. He saw her arm burns, cuts, dark bruises. Her clothes were torn. She had been through something bad. Jack knelt beside her slowly. "Hey, I don't know who you are, but you need help. Let me help you." The woman looked at him, confused. "Why? Why help?" Jack shrugged. "Because that's what people should do." For a long moment, she didn't speak, just stared. Then she whispered, "Zelra." "What?" "My name." "Zelra." Jack nodded. "Nice to meet you, Zelra." "I'm Jack." A low rumble echoed outside. Zelra's head jerked toward the window. Her eyes widened with fear. "No, they're coming. They found me." Jack looked outside. Snow, trees, nothing else. But something was out there, watching, waiting. He turned back to her. "Who's coming?" She stood slowly, shaking. "They want me back. But if they find you, they'll take you too, or kill you." Jack blinked. "Well, that's not good." Zelra stared at him. "You need to leave. Now." Jack smiled just a little. "This is my cabin. I'm not going anywhere. If they want you, they'll have to come through me." Zelra looked stunned. Her mouth opened slightly, like she didn't believe him. Outside, the snow kept falling, but now, the hunt had begun. "She's not from Earth." Snow fell like a blanket of silence outside the cabin, but inside, Jack's world had turned upside down. The woman Zelra sat quietly by the fire, wrapped in an old blanket. She hadn't said much since last night. only that someone was looking for her, someone dangerous. Jack made 2 cups of tea. His hands still shook, not from the cold, but from everything else. An alien. In his cabin, he kept staring at her when he thought she wasn't looking. Her skin still shimmered faintly under the firelight. She looked human, almost, but her eyes gave it away, too bright, too deep, and she didn't blink often. Zelra held the tea with both hands, but didn't drink it. "You don't trust me," Jack said. She looked up slowly. "Should I?" Jack chuckled softly. "Good point." A few moments passed. She finally took a small sip, then coughed. "Bitter." Jack smiled. "Welcome to Earth." Zelra tilted her head. "Earth." She said the word like it tasted strange. "I studied your world long ago, but it's different here." "You studied Earth?" "I had to." She paused. "Your kind is dangerous." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" She looked down at the steam rising from the cup. "In my world, Earth is marked red. Stay away. Too violent. Too unpredictable. Too emotional." Jack snorted. "Yeah, that's fair. I landed by mistake," she continued. "I didn't mean to come here." Jack sat across from her. "How did you crash?" "They shot me down," she whispered. "Who?" She didn't answer. He leaned forward. "Zelra, are you a soldier?" She shook her head. "No, I was a prisoner." Jack's face changed. "Prisoner? They used me to test weapons. My body is different. I can survive things others can't." Jack stared. "What kind of weapons?" She looked at him. Her eyes shined more now, almost glowing. "The kind that destroy planets." Jack leaned back slowly. "Cool. Cool. No pressure." She gave a small smile. "Just a flicker. It vanished quickly. I escaped. Stole a pod. Crashed here. I thought I could hide." Jack looked toward the window. Snow kept falling, but now, he noticed strange marks on the glass. Smudges. Like fingers. Not his. Not hers. Zelra followed his gaze. "They're getting closer." Jack stood up. "Do they have ships?" "One. Stealth mode. You won't hear it." "Well, that's just great," Jack muttered. "So we're being hunted, in a snowstorm, by invisible space people." On a Thursday, she didn't laugh. Suddenly, she froze. Her head turned sharply toward the door. "What?" Jack whispered. "Outside." She said. "Movement." He moved to the window carefully. Nothing. But then, just for a moment, a shadow passed between 2 trees. Big, not human. Jack grabbed his rifle from the wall. "You said weapons don't work on them, right?" She nodded. "But it might. Slow them down." "Great. Let's make them late for dinner." He opened the cabin door slowly. Cold wind rushed in like a slap. The snowstorm had softened, but the world outside was still a frozen maze. Jack stepped out, holding the rifle tight. He looked left, right, nothing. Just snow and trees and more snow. Then a click. From behind him, he turned fast. Zelra stood there, staring into the woods. From the tree line, a figure stepped out. Not human. Not fully. It wore armor that shimmered like wet stone. Its face was covered with a dark visor, and wires ran down its body like veins. In one hand, it held a long staff. At the top, a pulsing red light. It didn't speak. It just pointed at Zelra. She stepped back. Jack raised his rifle. "Hey, you're not welcome here." The creature didn't move. Then a flash of red light. Jack dove to the side just in time. The blast hit the snow beside him and exploded like a grenade. White powder flew everywhere. Zelra screamed. Her hands glowed bright blue. Jack rolled over, saw her raise her arms, and a wave of energy burst from her palms, knocking the creature backward into a tree. It didn't get up. Jack's jaw dropped. "You could do that this whole time?" Zelra looked shocked too. "I didn't know I still could." They ran back inside the cabin. Jack slammed the door shut. "Okay, new rule. No more going outside." Zelra fell to her knees, gasping. "I'm weak. Using energy here. It costs more." "Then don't waste it," Jack said, locking every bolt he had. "We'll figure something out." She looked at him. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you're in trouble. You don't know me." Jack smiled. "Doesn't matter. You're cold, scared, and being hunted. That's enough." Zelra stared at him like he was an alien. "You're not like the others," Jack shrugged. "Never was." A soft hum echoed through the cabin. Lights flickered. Zelra's eyes widened. "They found the ship. They're powering it." "What ship?" "My escape pod. I buried it. Deep in the forest." "You buried a spaceship?" "I had to. But if they turn it on, it will send a signal." "To who?" Zelra looked at him grimly. "To everyone." Hunters in the snow. The wind screamed louder than ever. Trees shook as if whispering warnings. Jack stood by the window, watching the forest like a soldier on night watch. His rifle was loaded. Not that it would help much against alien tech, but it made him feel better. Behind him, Zelra paced slowly, weak but restless. Her hands kept twitching like they wanted to glow again, but couldn't. Her energy was fading. "They found your ship," Jack said without turning. "Yes," Zelra replied. "They'll use it to call the others." "How many others are we talking about here?" She didn't answer. Jack turned around. Zelra, her eyes locked onto his. "Too many." "Great." Jack ran a hand through his messy hair. "So we're basically in a wooden box, surrounded by snow, hunted by alien freaks with laser sticks, and your spaceship is now a glowing come get me sign?" "Yes," Jack sighed. "This is why I don't go camping." Zelra suddenly stopped pacing. She turned her head toward the door. Her eyes narrowed. "One is near." Jack raised his rifle. "How near?" She walked toward the fireplace, crouched, and placed a hand on the wooden floor. The boards gave off a faint blue pulse. 20 meters, she whispered. Behind the cabin, Jack moved to the back window. Snow was falling thick now, but he saw it barely, a shape, standing still, watching, not moving, not breathing, just waiting. "Why aren't they attacking?" he whispered. "They're waiting for backup," Zelra said. "Or they want me to run." "Well, they're going to be disappointed," Jack said. "We're not running." Zelra looked at him strangely. "You keep saying we. Why?" Jack glanced back at her. "Because you're not alone anymore, whether you like it or not." For a moment, something changed in her face. A small flicker of trust. Then crash. The front window exploded. Glass flew like shrapnel. A large figure dived through, roaring in a voice that didn't sound natural. Jack fired once, twice. The first bullet missed. The second hit but bounced off the creature's armor like a pebble off steel. Zelra screamed as the creature charged, but suddenly boom. A wall of fire burst up from the fireplace. Not normal fire. Blue. Hot. It forced the creature back, hissing like acid on metal. Zelra collapsed. "Zelra!" Jack shouted, grabbing her. "I didn't mean to," she gasped. "It just happened." "Yeah, well, good timing," Jack muttered. The creature growled, then vanished, blinked out of sight like a ghost. No sound, no trace, gone. Jack helped Zelra up. She was shaking. Cold sweat covered her skin. "We can't stay here," she said. "They'll come in force." "Where do we go?" Jack asked. "My pod. I can stop the signal." "If we get there in time," Jack nodded. "Then let's go." Scene shift. The frozen forest was thick and dark. Trees stood like frozen giants. Jack's breath puffed in clouds. Zelra walked beside him, leaning on his shoulder. Her energy flickered now and then, soft pulses of blue light under her skin. "How far?" Jack asked. "About 2 kilometers," she said. "Under the ice lake." "Under the what now?" She didn't reply. Jack muttered. "Right. Of course, it's under a lake. Why wouldn't it be?" Behind them, the trees creaked. A faint metallic sound echoed through the woods like machines breathing. "They're following," Zelra whispered. Jack stopped, raised his rifle. Then a laser beam shot past his head. He ducked. "Go! Run!" They sprinted, feet pounding through snow. Red lights danced between the trees. The hunters were flanking them. "Coordinated. Smart," Zelra pointed. "That way." Down the slope. They slid down a steep hill, snow spraying in all directions. Jack nearly lost his grip on the rifle. At the bottom, a frozen lake stretched out like a mirror of white glass. "We go under," Zelra said, moving to a rock near the shore. She pressed her hand against it. Blue lines lit up across the ice. A loud hum began. The ice cracked once, twice, then split open like a door. A spiral staircase made of glowing metal appeared, descending into darkness. "Go!" Zelra shouted. Jack helped her down. The stairs lit up as they moved. The cold lessened. The air grew warmer, charged. They reached the bottom. And there it was. The pod. A sleek silver craft half buried in rock and ice, humming with low energy. Lights blinked across its surface. A control panel glowed in front. Zelra touched it, and the ship responded like it knew her. Symbols flashed. Holograms rose. She worked fast. Jack turned to watch the stairway. Nothing yet. But the humming above was getting louder. "They're almost here," he said. "I'm trying," Zelra whispered. But they already started the beacon. The pod lit up with a loud tone. Jack backed away. "What's happening?" "I can stop the signal," she said. "But I'll have to drain all remaining power. That means no weapons, no shield. We'll be open." Jack looked at her. "So, either let the whole galaxy know where we are, or turn off the lights and pray?" She nodded. Jack stepped closer. "Do it." She stared at him. "You're brave. For a primitive." "Thanks," he said. "You glow pretty for a fugitive." A small smile. Then she touched the panel. The hum stopped. The lights shut down. Silence. Then boom. A loud sound from above. The hunters were in. Jack raised the rifle. "You still got any blue fire left?" "No," she whispered. "But I have something else." "What?" She turned to him. "You." Jack blinked. "Come again?" "I connected your body to my ship. When I touched your floor, that's why I could sense them. I used your energy to fuel mine." Jack looked at his hands. They were glowing. "Wait, am I glowing? Why am I glowing?" She grabbed his hand. "Because now, you fight like one of us. Don't trust the sky." The walls of the underground pod chamber hummed like a giant heartbeat. Soft, pulsing lights traced through the metal like veins. Jack stood in the middle of it all, staring at his glowing hands. "I'm glowing," he whispered. "I'm literally glowing." Zelra was beside him, pale and weak. Her energy was fading fast. "You're not just glowing," she said softly. "You're connected. My ship linked your nervous system to its power. You're a conduit now." Jack blinked. "Wait, so I'm like your battery?" She smiled faintly. "More like a fuse. If the hunters hit us while you're still connected, you'll explode." Jack immediately took a step back. Cool. That's great news. Can I unplug now? Or do I just wait for detonation like popcorn? But before Zelra could answer, the stairs above lit up. They were coming. Not just one. All of them. The hunters had arrived. Jack turned to the ramp. "Do you have any working weapons in this thing?" Zelra shook her head. "The power's gone. Everything I had. I used to protect you." The hum from the stairwell grew louder. Jack could hear it now. Boots. Mechanical. Heavy. Marching. In perfect sync. Zelra placed her hand on his chest. Her touch was cold, almost electric. "I have one idea, but it's risky." Jack raised his eyebrow. "This entire week has been risky." She stared into his eyes. "I can transfer a part of my core memory into you. Not just energy instinct. You'll feel what I feel, see what I see, maybe even fight like I do." Jack blinked. "Wait, you mean upload alien kung fu into my brain?" Zelra didn't understand the joke. "Yes, okay then." Jack nodded. "Do it. Turn me into Space Neo." She closed her eyes. Blue light spread from her fingertips, wrapping around his body like smoke. Jack gasped. A flood of thoughts rushed into his mind. Images, sounds, places he'd never seen. Planets with purple skies. Giant creatures with wings like shadows. A city floating upside down in space. And then pain. He dropped to his knees, screaming. But in that pain, he learned, above ground, the storm breaks outside. The storm had stopped. The snow no longer fell, but the sky had changed. It was wrong. Clouds moved too fast. Colors shifted gray to red to black. And in the center of it all, a large circular shadow hovered silently. It was so high, you couldn't hear it, could barely see it. But it was there, a ship. Massive. The mothership. The hunters didn't speak as they marched down the spiral steps. They didn't need to. They were connected like a hive. Silent. Focused. One held a scanner. It beeped twice. Then the hunter turned to the others and nodded. Target below. Back in the pod chamber Jack stood now. His breathing had slowed. His hands no longer glowed, they burned. Blue fire crawled up his arms, dancing just beneath his skin. I feel everything, he said. I feel the ship. I feel you. Zellara nodded. Then you're ready. Jack turned to the entrance. Let's do this. The hunters appeared at the top of the ramp, their armor shining with frost and light. Red visors. Scan the room. One raised its weapon. Jack raised his hand. Boom. A wall of energy shot from his palm and slammed into the lead hunter, launching it across the chamber. It hit the wall so hard, the metal bent inward. The others opened fire. Thin red beams sliced through the air. Jack ducked, rolled, and moved faster than he thought possible. It wasn't just reflex, it was Zellara's knowledge flowing through him. He didn't think. He knew what to do. He leapt onto a crate, then off the wall, then landed in the middle of the hunters and blasted energy from both hands. They fell one by one, but not all. One hunter moved behind Zellara. She didn't see it. Jack did. He screamed her name. The hunter fired. Jack dove. The beam hit his shoulder. He spun and crashed to the ground. Pain exploded in his chest, but he didn't stop. He rolled onto his back and fired again. A beam of blue light burned a hole straight through the last hunter's chest. Silence. Only Jack's heavy breathing now. He lay there, panting. Did we win? Zellara rushed to him. You're hurt. He looked at the burn on his shoulder. I've had worse. One stepped on a Lego barefoot. She didn't get the joke. Again, but her eyes softened. You saved me, she said. He smiled. We saved each other. Suddenly, the pod shook. The ceiling cracked. A new sound filled the chamber. A deep, pulsing rhythm. The mothership was descending. Zellara stood up. They weren't here for me. Jack looked up, confused. What do you mean? They were here for you. Jack stared. Wait, what? Zellara nodded slowly. You're not just connected to me. You're broadcasting. Your body is a beacon now. Jack's eyes widened. So I'm a walking alien Wi-Fi signal? They want you, she said. Because you're the first human to survive the merge. The first to unlock energy without breaking. You are the test they've been waiting for. The chamber shook again. Zellara stepped closer. We have one chance. My pod can launch. It won't reach space, but it can reach the mountains. And then, we hide. We survive. And then, we fight. Jack groaned. Of course, all I wanted was a quiet weekend in the woods. Zellara reached for the launch controls. The pod door shut. Engines warmed. As the mothership broke through the clouds above, the pod blasted out of the ice like a bullet from a gun, disappearing into the stormy sky, leaving behind only steam, broken snow, and a war that had only just begun. Truth under ice. The pod flew low through a frozen canyon, its engines roaring just beneath the surface of the ice. Snow whipped against the hull. Inside, Jack clutched his arm, where the alien blast had burned him. The pain pulsed like a second heartbeat. Beside him, Zellara sat at the control panel, quiet and pale. Her eyes were dim now. She hadn't said a word since they launched. Jack looked at her. You okay? She didn't answer. He frowned. Zellara? Finally, she spoke, soft, distant. We can't go back. They'll level the area, burn it to nothing. Jack leaned his head back. Great. So we lost a cabin and gained a lifetime of intergalactic trauma. She blinked. You joke even when scared. Jack nodded. Humans are weird like that. It's either jokes or screaming. Silence again. Then, Zellara sighed. You deserve the truth. Jack sat up. Okay, I'm listening. Zellara touched a panel. The walls of the pod flickered and shifted. A hologram appeared floating in the air. A map of stars, galaxies, moving lights. In your galaxy, she said, Earth is known, but never visited, never touched. There are rules. Because we're violent? Jack asked. Yes, but not only that. She pointed to a small red planet on the edge of the map. This is Arctel, my homeworld, or what's left of it. Jack saw it half destroyed, a chunk missing from the planet's surface, orbiting debris like shattered glass. It used to be beautiful, she said. Then, 50 Earth years ago, we detected a signal. Old, strong. It came from Earth. A beacon, buried deep. Very deep. We sent a team to investigate. Jack leaned forward. What did they find? Zelra's voice dropped to a whisper. They never returned. But the signal did. Stronger than before. And it didn't just reach us, it reached everyone. Her hand swept across the stars. Lines connected planets like web strands. Dozens, no, hundreds of civilizations. All touched by the signal. And then the wars began, she said. The madness. Whole worlds turned on each other. Like a virus spreading through thought. Jack felt his skin crawl. Wait, are you saying Earth caused that? She nodded. Something ancient is buried here. Not human. Not from this galaxy. But it awakens. Slowly. And every time a mind connects to it like yours just did, it learns more. Jack swallowed hard. So I didn't just glow. I fed it. Yes, she said. You are the doorway now. And they will never stop chasing you. Ape rumble echoed through the pod. Jack stood. What was that? Mountains. Zelra said. We're here. Scene shift. The hidden Beseath pod landed on a snowy cliffside, near an old mining station buried in ice. The doors were broken. No lights. Just stone, wind, and rusted metal. This place was used during the first contact wars, Zelra explained. Now it's forgotten. Jack helped her out of the pod. The cold bit his face. The sky was darker now, clouds above still swirling. From the mothership's presence, far behind them, they entered the base. Inside, it was quiet. Dusty. Silent screens flickered from low backup power. Jack explored. Found a control room. Maps, comms, old weapons. But something else too. A chamber. He entered it slowly. It felt wrong. Zelra appeared behind him. This was the listening room. This is where they heard the signal the first time. Jack walked toward a large screen. It was cracked. But on the surface, something glowed faintly. A symbol. Not words. Not language. Just a shape. Circular. Broken in the middle. Like an eye split in two. When Jack touched it, his vision flickered. Suddenly, he wasn't in the room. He was floating above Earth. Then inside it, below the surface. Deep. Past stone. Past magma. Into a black chamber, with walls too smooth, too perfect, and in the center, a heart. Not beating, but waiting. It pulsed once, and then he was back. He gasped, falling backward. Zelra caught him. You saw it. He nodded. It's not just ancient, it's alive. She looked at the screen. And now it knows you. Jack stood slowly. If it's buried on Earth, why haven't we found it? Because it doesn't want to be found. Not yet. Jack turned. So what do we do? Run forever? Zelra's expression hardened. No, we stop running. We destroy it. Jack raised an eyebrow. Okay, got any planet-cracking bombs in that pod of yours? No, she said. But I have knowledge. And you have something they don't. Jack smirked. Let me guess. A dumb Earth brain and a pocket knife? She shook her head. Choice. Jack frowned. What? You can choose, she said. That's your power. You're not part of a hive, not a machine, not a pre-coded species. You improvise. You adapt. You survive. Jack blinked. Wow, that was almost a compliment. I'm still tired, she muttered. They both sat down. Jack stared at the symbol again. So this thing, whatever's underground, it's feeding on contact? Yes. And now it knows me? She nodded. It might even try to use you. He leaned back, closing his eyes. Well, that's comforting. That ninth wind held again. Zelra slept on the floor, breathing slow. Jack sat by the door, rifle in hand, staring out into the snow, and above, high in the sky, the clouds shifted again. Something watched, from orbit, but also from below. In the frozen earth, deep beneath the mountains, a pulse echoed in the dark. Jack. The voice was not a voice, not sound, not words, just presence. Jack. His head jerked. He stood. He walked to the window, and he whispered something. I'm listening. The fire and the stars, the wind outside had stopped. Completely. Jack knew that wasn't a good sign. He stood at the edge of the base's broken balcony, looking up at a sky that didn't feel like a sky anymore. The clouds weren't clouds. They were layers like blankets wrapped around something massive, breathing just above the mountains. The stars were gone. Behind him, Zelra sat slumped against a wall, her skin dim and gray. Her eyes, once bright and glowing, were dull. Every few minutes, her chest rose in a shaky breath. She hadn't spoken since the pulse last night, but Jack had heard it, that voice, or that presence. It didn't speak in words. It echoed inside him, like thunder behind the eyes. It had called his name, repeated it, Jack, and the scariest part, a piece of him wanted to answer. Inside the base, the return of power. Jack moved back into the control room and looked at the cracked screen. The strange symbol circle broken in two was still there, still glowing. But something was different. He stepped closer. It pulsed again. He gritted his teeth. What do you want? And then his mind was filled with images. Blinding, fast, impossible to fully grasp. War, planets falling, ships burning in space, creatures made of light, screaming soundlessly. And in the middle of it all, black shape, growing, feeding, not just on energy, but on will. Jack staggered back, gasping. It wasn't just buried. It was awakening. Zelra's voice came from behind him, weak but clear. It touched you again, didn't it? Jack turned. It's not just talking to me anymore. It's showing me things. Zelra leaned forward. Then we don't have much time. Jack helped her up. You said it was buried, he said. Can we destroy it? I don't know, she whispered. But if we don't try, it will destroy everything else. Suddenly, an alarm blared from a corner panel. A warning signal. Zelra's head turned sharply. Something's entering orbit. Jack ran to the screen. A shape was descending through the sky layers, slow and massive. It had no engines, no sound. It didn't move like a ship. It floated, like a thought sliding into a dream. That's not your people, Jack muttered. No, she whispered. That's much worse. The arrival in our past. Then too. The sky outside turned red, not from sunlight, but from something else, like fire behind a veil. And then, the mountain shook. Zelra fell. Jack caught her. From outside the base, a sound rose. Not a roar, not a scream, a hum. Low, constant, endless. And then a figure walked into view. It wasn't a hunter. It was human. Or, it looked human. Jack froze. His blood turned cold. The figure wore black robes, tattered and ancient. Its face was familiar. Too familiar. It looked like Jack. The man stepped closer, smiled. Well, he said, you're doing better than I did. Jack raised his rifle. Who the hell are you? The man chuckled. I'm you. A version, anyway. The one who answered the signal. Zelra gasped. Impossible. You shouldn't exist. Oh, I do. The man said. I lived. I obeyed. I became part of it. Jack shook his head. This is a trick. No trick, the man said, stepping closer. You've already heard it, felt it. You're almost ready to connect fully. When you do, it will offer you peace. No more pain, no more doubt, just purpose. Jack's hands trembled. The other Jack reached out. Come, join the rest of us. It's already inside you, Zelra shouted. Don't touch him. Jack turned. Why me? Why Earth? The man's eyes glowed faintly. Because Earth was its first cradle. Long before your kind. Long before memory. Something else was here. And now, it wants to be born again. He looked at Zelra. You've been feeding it this whole time, little spark. Running, hiding, burning your power just to keep it awake. Zelra cried out, collapsing. Jack dropped to his knees beside her. Hey, stay with me. Don't you give up now. Her eyes fluttered. If you listen to it, I lose you. Jack looked at the other version of himself. Then we end this. You can't, the man whispered. You are it now. Jack stood, his fists glowing. No, still me. And I choose not to join your little space cult. The fire in the Starst battle was not with guns, not with blades. It was inside the mind. As Jack faced the other version of himself, energy exploded around them. The broken base shook. Stone cracked. Metal screamed. Zelra, weak but determined, lifted her hand and joined the fight, her light merging with Jack's. Together, they pushed back against the echo in his mind. The whispers, the hunger, and then Jack stepped forward, grabbed the other him, and said, "You're not me." He shoved the vision into the ground. There was a flash, a shockwave of light, and the robed man vanished like smoke. The hum stopped. Silence. Then the mountain collapsed. Jack grabbed Zelra and ran as the base broke apart, metal beams falling like spears, snow flooding in. He reached the exit just as the sky above her opened, and the alien presence began to descend, formless, vast, stretching across the clouds like ink and water. But it was weaker now, wounded. Because Jack had rejected it. Later, in the wreckage, Jack and Zelra lay on the cliff, bruised, bleeding, alive. She smiled weakly. "You broke the connection." Jack looked at the ruined sky. "Not completely, but I made it bleed." She touched his chest. "You burned with your own fire. Human fire. That's what it fears." Jack looked down. "So what now?" She sat up, barely. "Now, we build. We prepare. It will try again. Maybe not today. Maybe not for years." Jack nodded. "Then next time, we'll be ready." They looked at the horizon. The clouds were finally clearing, and above, between the stars, something ancient moved. But this time, it knew. Humanity fights back. Humanity fights back. Day 3, after the collapse, Jack woke up on the cold stone, the sun finally peeking through the clouds. For the first time in days, the sky looked blue, not red, not glowing, just normal. But Jack knew better. It was still out there watching. The battle in the mountain had destroyed the base, the backup station, and most of the landscape around it. Whole cliffs had fallen. Trees had been scorched. Something massive had stirred beneath the surface. And it wasn't done. Beside him, Zelra was still asleep. Her body was healing slowly, glowing faint pulses under her skin, barely visible. She looked peaceful, but Jack knew she was far from safe. He stood, looking toward the horizon, and then he saw it. Smoke. Ships. Dozens of them. Coming through the upper atmosphere. Not alien. Not the enemy. Humans' first contact team. A large military dropship hovered over the broken valley. It was marked with the Annex United Earth Exploration Division logo. Soldiers in exosuits rappelled down, scanning the area with glowing visors. The head of the group, a woman in a sleek black command suit. Her name tag read Commander Silva. She walked toward Jack, cautious but calm. "You the one broadcasting that signal?" Jack nodded. "Not on purpose." Silva raised an eyebrow. "Well, you got our attention. That's a first. We've been listening for 50 years. Jack looked surprised. "Wait, Earth knew something was down here?" Silva nodded. "We didn't know what. Just that it wasn't natural. And when your signal burst through every satellite we've got, well, we scrambled the best." She looked past him at Zelra. Her eyes narrowed. "Who's the glowing girl?" Jack stepped in front of her. "She's the reason we're still alive." Silva smirked. "Well, thank her for us. Because you've just started a war." The underground vault. Silva led Jack and Zelra into a hidden facility beneath the snow, one even she had only recently been cleared to access. It was ancient. The walls were not human-built. The writing etched into the metal glowed faint red. "We've known about this for decades," Silva said, "but no one could get in. The doors were sealed. Dead." Jack ran his fingers over the symbols. "Not dead. Waiting." Zelra's eyes widened. "This place. It's one of the beacons. One of the first." A low hum began. The door opened. Inside was a chamber of impossible size, like walking into the skeleton of a planet. Massive towers, swirling energy, and in the center, a throne, empty, waiting. "It was built by them," Zelra said. "The ones who left the signal. The ones that came before." Jack stared. "And what were they trying to do?" Zelra whispered. "Not build a weapon, not a prison, a test. They sent the signal across galaxies, not to conquer, but to choose." Jack turned to her. Choose what? Zelra looked at him, her eyes glowing again. Who's ready to take their place? The choice is suddenly. The walls lit up. A voice not Jack's, not Zelra's boomed in every mind. One has survived. The trial. The chamber shimmered. The walls dissolved into stars. Jack looked around, floating, weightless. One has rejected control and retained self. Jack shouted, "What is this? You are chosen. The last candidate. The last chance." He turned to Zelra, but she was far away now, reaching for him, calling his name, but no sound escaped her lips. And then Jack saw them. Others. Floating bodies in the stars. People from other worlds. Some glowing, some fading, some twisted beyond recognition. They had failed the test. They had lost themselves. Jack's heartbeat slowed. He wasn't just fighting an alien mind. He had been fighting evolution, a cosmic system trying to pass the torch to someone like him, and he was the last candidate. Back in reality, chamber snapped back. The voice faded. Zelra collapsed in his arms. "You saw it," she whispered. "You were chosen." Jack shook his head. "I didn't ask for this, but you were made for it," she said. "You feel everything, hurt everything, but you don't give up. That's what the others lacked." Silva stepped forward. "Then maybe it's time we stop hiding. If Earth is on the map now, we better act like it." Jack looked up at the glowing towers. "You want to fight back?" Silva smirked. "You're damn right." Humanity's signal. A week later, the world changed. The Annex agency went public. A new signal was broadcast, not just a reply, but a warning. It was Jack's voice. "To whoever hears this, we're not running anymore. You came looking for weakness. You found Earth. You thought we were primitive, emotional, fragile. You were right, but you forgot something. We're human, and we fight back." Epilogue. In orbit, the great enemy, formless, massive, older than stars. Listen. It twitched, and, for the first time in 1,000 years, it hesitated, because somewhere, deep in the cold dark of the galaxy, a fire had lit, a small, stubborn, reckless fire, and its name was Earth.